Well, good morning and happy Thursday. So, today is Thursday Thoughts. And, my thought pattern is leading straight towards the owner of the house that I used to live in. And it's straying, the thoughts are straying this way because nothing seemed to add up over the last year or so. It was all very strange. And, Phone Jones knows a bunch of this, but, nothing added up, and because we lived in that house for 5 years. 5 years. I mean, you can't get renters, tenants, to stay in a house much longer than a year anymore, if that. There was a house in the neighborhood that Phone Jones and I lived in that I was turning every 6 months. Now, I don't know if that was a housing issue or if that was the landlord. I hear the landlord was really in your face and strict and everything like that, but I mean, you can't. Hearsay is exactly that. It's hearsay. And then all the trouble that Phone Jones had with her landlord and his shadiness and everything like that. I was like, man, I'm lucky. I got a good landlord. Well, except for the whole roof thing. It only took him 4 years to put a new roof on the place, which still doesn't make any damn sense. None of it makes any sense. Okay. So, a year ago, was it a year ago? Year and a half ago? I don't know. This is part of the reason that I went into the Spunkii protection program. The Spunkii protection program is much like the witness protection program, just without all the government and, new identities and height and, just leaving everything behind and starting a whole new existence. Although, that's not a bad idea sometimes. But anyway, part of the reason that sent me into the Spunkii protection program, is just life hit the damn fan. It's like, I don't know who I pissed off in a past life, or, I don't know if karma got some stuff backwards, because I told a toxic relative to kick rocks, all intents and purposes. You're not stepping on me anymore, you're not using me anymore, I'm done with your shit, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not questioning anything because, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I should be able to bench press a Mack truck, just saying. But, my husband and I went through a really hard time. I mean, really hard time, to the point where we were borderline going to lose Cleo and Jules because we couldn't afford to care for them, and finding housing that would take their breed, is difficult because they are on a breed restricted list. I don't know why. I think it's because they're destructive when they get bored and they're very high energy. So, much like pit bull type dogs and everything like that, uneducated owners make it difficult for the rest of us. But that is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But we were going to lose the dogs. We were going to be homeless because Chris wasn't working, I wasn't working anymore, thanks to toxic DNA. But, again, a whole nother subject for a whole nother day, because, that's like a year-long discussion right there. But, and we were trying everything we could. There was just like a stop on work, at his job. And he kept, he was going out, he was applying for other jobs, but nothing was taken. I mean, it was the summer, that's when everything slows down, and just nothing was taken. And he thought he had found a really good job. I mean, benefits were awesome, pay was awesome. We thought this was going to be our lifesaver, although we always have contingency plans. We never lay all our ducks in one basket. We have a few ducks sitting over here in this basket. But, we were floundering. I mean, we were probably a week away from being on the street, all of us. And that was I was really struggling mentally with that, and, it's just, it's like everything came together, almost. It was really weird, because all in the same day, my mother loaned us some money, and then we sold my husband's motorcycle, and by the grace of all things, holy and unholy, we were able to come up with just enough money to keep us in the house for another month. Yay, a whole nother month. Would borrow, but we didn't need the money from my mom. So I tried to send it back to her, because the sale from the motorcycle got us caught up on our back rent and paid for the new month. So we didn't need the money from my mother. I tried to send it back to her, and she's like, you know what, just put it in savings and see what happens. Well, what happens was, even though Chris was, the job opportunity that we thought was killer turned out to be not so much. It turned out to be regret and bad decision wrapped up in a pretty bow. But I don't know, it was just weird, because all of a sudden work picked back up at his current job at the time. Because it went from non-existent. I mean, he didn't work for like almost 2 months. And we always have a pretty thick savings, which we tend to roll through during the bad times, and we have to build it back up. But, so he went back to his old job, and it's like money picked back up, or the work picked back up. It was really strange. I was scratching my head about it forever. It's like everything righted itself, but even though we were catching up on all the bills, the kids needed stuff for school, so thankfully we had that money from my mom so I could get the kids school supplies. And everything seemed to chill out, and it wasn't that bad, and everything was going good. And then, at Christmas, we were a little behind on the rent again, because of course it's Christmas. And I'll fully admit that, we got some Christmas presents rather than give our landlord the full rent. But, I mean, that we just didn't have it at that point in time, because, again, preferred slowed down. But again, another miracle happened, and, some things came together, and we came into, some extra money, and so we got him paid off, and, on top of him gifting us, a $300 discount on our rent for the holidays. Yay, thanks! And the next 4 months after that are just a whirlwind. I mean, it's just a blur how quickly everything just went south. Because it was after Christmas, it was January. There was a knock on the door, and I opened the door, and there's a clerk of court on the doorstep. I'm like, okay, and she's serving the house, not me, not my husband, but she's serving the house with a, what was it, a tax lien, I want to say, that, it was a documentation saying that the back taxes on the property hadn't been paid, and, that the house was going up for auction, for a tax auction, for, to get the back taxes. And I'm scratching my damn, what? So what do you mean he hasn't been paying? He just put a new roof on the place. How has he not been paying his property taxes? Question mark. It was just really odd, and it was really weird. And, so I called him up, and I was like, dude, I just got and he's like, you know what, ignore that. I got 5 others on 4 other properties. It's a mistake. I'm working it out. Okay. And, and we let that go. We were a little bit behind, on the rent. We were trying to figure it out. We really were. And then it was the end of February. And we hadn't, we were really bad off at this point in time. No, it wasn't February, because, it was April. And I just had surgery, because I had a hernia that I needed repaired. And so I'm down and out, and I just had surgery, and I get a phone call or a text message. It was a text message saying, hey, blah, 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 y'all, are you going to be paying your rent, are you going to be paying your rent, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, we're trying to, and everything like that, but, and he's like, you know what, if you can get me this much, then I'll give you May. No, it was, because I had surgery in April, and I don't know. It's all a damn blur. I just know that everything happened between March and May. Everything was just freaking nuts between March and May. And I had just had surgery mid-April. And it was like, oh, are you going to pay, this? And I was like, we're trying to. We really are. I just had surgery. My husband had to take some time off because I couldn't get up by myself. I needed help doing everything because my damn midside had abdominal surgery. And he's just like, well, blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. So if you pay this, we're going to have to part ways. I think you've been taking advantage of me, in my kindness. And mother, it took you 4 years to put a new roof, to fix a roof properly. Really? It's like, and I've been living with water damage and mold, and I'm taking advantage of your kindness? Dude, I think that's the other way around. But it's whatever. So he's like, if you can come up with, April's rent, then you've bought May, and we just need you out by the end of May. Well, all right then. And he's like, because, you've been living here for a while, and, you're paying $850, and I never once raised the rent on you, which I could be getting $950 to $1,000 for that place. No, you can't. You couldn't, and you wouldn't. I'm sorry to say this, but no. Because the general disrepair of the place was, no. Because you got the T111 on the outside of the house fallen off because of termites. You have the interior framework not only disintegrating from water damage for who knows how long that roof was leaking before we even moved in, considering 2 weeks after we moved in, we had buckets, around the living room, and then back in Abby's room and everything like that. Plus the termite damage alone, because we've taken a couple of those walls down, and we're working on replacing them, doing him a favor, and, everything like that. And the termites, and the mold, and it's like, no, that place, and you slam the doors and the whole front wall of the house would shake. That's termites. That's one big gust of wind and the whole thing's going down like a damn deck of cards. And he's like, I can get this and I can get that and I can get this much. Dude, fine, whatever. And that's your beef. Okay, so now how do we come up with $850? Well, again, we got another loan. And so that bought us May. And of course, I can't do anything. I can't walk the dogs. I can't pack anything. I can't lift anything. I can't do nothing. So here I am. I'm down with abdominal surgery. We have 30 days to find a house big enough for my family that will accept my dogs. No! And I don't know how it worked out. I don't know. I mean, we were at Baskin Robbins one day, and we were having ice cream, and I was looking over something, and I saw this ad. I'm like, okay, I'll give him a call. So I gave him a call. It's $2.99, down, and you get the first month free. Well, sign me up. But do you take Siberian Huskies? Yes, of course we do. But it's a $50 pet deposit, or it's a $100 pet deposit for the first pet, and then $50 each additional pet. Well, I got 3 pets. So it was $2.99 for the deposit, and then $200 for the pet fees. Okay, so $500 moves us in. Perfect. Drove over here, filled out their soft credit thing. Yay, we're approved. Woohoo! And then after that, we were out. Within 30 days, we were out. And he was up. Are y'all out yet? Dude, no, you gave us a month. No, we're not out yet. You gave us a month. So we're taking that month. And the only downside to moving 20 miles north of where you used to live is the fact that I had to leave a good friend behind. Phone Jones, I miss you so much. But it's kind of working out. Because even though we're now under property managers, which I never much cared for property managers because there's not a whole ton of leniency for shit happens, because shit does happen and it seems to happen a lot. But it hasn't been that bad. But what's funny, and here's the kicker, because I figured no sooner did we move out that he would have someone in there, a little bit of plaster, a little bit of drywall, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and he'd have a tenant in there, lickety split. Here's what brought on today's Thursday thought on these slumlords, is we ended up on the south side on Saturday to cash my husband's paycheck. And just out of curiosity, we drove through the old neighborhood. We've done it a couple of times, and we're just like, wow. And just out of curiosity, we drove through the old neighborhood. Place hasn't been touched. Hasn't been touched. One of the neighbors, I guess, mowed the grass, because the grass had been mowed recently, but you could see the fence grass that was in the fence lining was halfway up the damn fence post. So it hadn't been mowed for a long time. The T111 hasn't been replaced. The side gate hasn't been closed from, I guess, when whomever went and collected the keys. The porch light's been on for 4 months, but the place hasn't been touched. It hasn't been touched. Because the place where I cleaned the window markers off of Abby's window, I can still see a little bit of the smearing. And the place is empty. And has been sitting empty since we moved out in May. That's what, May, June, July, August? 4 months? 3 months it's been sitting empty, and he hasn't touched it. Has not touched it. Which raises the question, why? My husband and I think he abandoned it. He just let it go. He couldn't afford it anymore. And it also raises the whole tax question again. Was it actually auctioned? Is it being auctioned? What's going on? And you gotta be honest. You can't take advantage of people this way. And that's a problem. It's hard you almost have no choice but to rent from property managers and complexes that have, these type of people that run these properties, because these private owners nowadays, they are a shady group of crooks. And it's hard to know who to trust and who not to trust. It really is. And just be careful out there, because we thought we had a good thing in that house. I mean, we were comfortable. We'd been there 5 years, and a little hiccup, and I mean, we thought we'd have a little bit of leeway because we had been there for so long, and we had been such great tenants, but no, America's greedy, folks. Greedy, greedy, greedy. And so I'm getting my head together and realizing, as I said, that shit does happen. And I think next week's Spunky Thoughts maybe might be what sent me, the whole bridged version of what sent me into the Spunky Protection Program. Because that's a whole long list of toxicness, and I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I'm going to end this Thursday thought, and just be careful out there. Be careful who you trust. I mean, it's okay to trust, it's okay to love, it's okay to be generous and kind. But there also needs to be a defense, a guard, a shield almost, to know that not everybody is on the up and up, not everybody is right, not everybody is gentle and loving and caring of humanity, and you have to deal with that, you have to live with that, and you don't have to like it, but it is what it is. So keep it real, folks. Be honest, honorable, hold yourself accountable, have integrity. Honor and integrity. Be humble. Spunky loves you. Peace.